that we're going to kind of do some housekeeping this morning, kind of a State of the Union address kind of thing, if you know what I mean. And we've got some big plans to share with you and some announcements and some things like that. And so I am so excited today to share some of this stuff with you that the church council and I have been talking about for a while. But before we get into all of that, I want to ask you a few questions by a raise of hand. How many of you were with us when we first started it at Homewood Suites? Raise your hand. So raise it high so I can see kind of a gauge. Okay, so it's like, maybe 20%. How many of you then started coming when we started meeting here, like about 4 years ago? Raise your hand up. So the others of you you were in Homewood Suites and then now also here, raise your hand. You're not raising your hand. Okay, so some of you. Okay, so about half. Good. For those of you, like I've got some pictures of the school. Those of you that, at Homewood Suites, those of you that joined us at Homewood Suites, do you remember how fun that was? I had so much fun over there. We met at Homewood Suites for a few months when we very first started, and just had a good time. You can see some of the pictures. There's Jose and Kaylin playing the djembe, and things were easy then, right? Setup was easy, man. We'd be set up in 15 minutes, and we just get after it. And then what I appreciate the best were the tacos that we'd always get after service. Man, we got to start that tradition back up somehow. But anyway, I don't know if the taco stands are open just yet. But anyway, that was like our first service right there. We had, like 60 people, and the room was built for 50. So we knew pretty quickly that it would not be a long-term solution for us. And so then a few months later, we ran into this place, and this was our first service here. Some of you were in that picture. Tati's in every picture, by the way, because she's been here since the beginning. If you remember that first service, we handed out the Tootsie Rolls and talked about God's blessings overflowing toward us. And there's Tati again, right? And there's our... To be honest, we have had 4 soundboards since that one, man. We are on our 4th soundboard. So... anyway, and Raul's been back there the whole time. But it's been an adventure. It's been fun. It's been a good journey, and I'm excited about where we're at. We're just in January 9th will be our 5th anniversary. We started January 9th of 2013. So we're just about 5 years old, and God has progressed us along this journey, and we're excited as to where He's taking us. As you can see, there's about 100 of us here today with the kids over and stuff like that. So that's a pretty good number for us right now. We don't normally run this many. I think you all heard that I was going to give an announcement, so you showed up. But anyway, the question I have for you to begin is for those of you that have been here for a while, those of you that have made friends here, do you feel comfortable here? Is this a place where you feel comfortable? Raise your hand if you think, I feel comfortable here. I'm getting to know people. I'm comfortable. Okay, good. That is a good thing. Absolutely good thing. But if you've been here with us since the very beginning, comfort was never something that we said we were going to pursue. In fact, if you remember from the very beginning, I said you're going to have to get comfortable what? Being uncomfortable. Okay? You're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so when a church has that kind of mentality and we're all comfortable, that puts red flags up to me. That makes me say, wait, what are we doing wrong? Why are we not pushing the envelope of uncomfortableness? Is that a word? Uncomfortability? What is the word there? Anyway, you know what I mean. What? Discomfort. Yeah, we need to have some more discomfort, which sounds weird, right? It's against our nature to want discomfort. But if we're going to be a church on the leading edge of reaching people with the gospel, we're going to have to do some things that are uncomfortable to you, okay? Singing in Spanish, for those of you that do not sing Spanish, do not know Spanish, that may be uncomfortable for you. For those of you, we have 2 here that speak primarily Spanish. Those of you speaking Spanish, mainly, are going to have to struggle singing in English. So there is some uncomfort. There are some little things that we deal with on a daily basis. But as I was looking at our first service, this is a screenshot of my computer. Can you even tell what it says? No. So that's my notes from that first service. And I circled this thing here because this is what I told you when we were at Homewood Suites, and I cannot even read it. But basically, starting about there, it says, I began talking with some close friends about the possibility of starting something that focused on two things. Reaching people who would normally never walk through the doors of a normal church, and number two, bringing people of all ethnicities and social statuses together. In my brain, this new project had to reach the unreached and bridge the gap between Hispanics and Anglos. Those are two things that I said were absolutely important to us. That was going to be the goal of Ekklesia. The vision of Ekklesia was to do two things, was to reach people that don't never walk through the doors of a church, and then also bridge the gap between Anglos and Hispanics. And I feel like we've gotten a little bit off track on some of that, just to be honest. The design of this place was that it would kind of be different and radical, and you'd never know what was going to happen. And I know that sometimes you never know how the chairs are going to get set up. Like some of you that are, you got that thing, like you know what you got, that OCD thing, or in other words, CDO, because that's OCD alphabetically. Like you come in and it's set up different and you're freaking out. We want to go way outside that kind of comfort zone barrier breaker, if you know what I mean. Whether we're doing things here or there, we really designed this place not necessarily to be like the other churches around us. We wanted it to be a place where you worship and study and serve the Lord with people who are unlike you, with people who maybe never would normally walk through the doors of a church. And all of you have done that. And so what we designed in the very beginning is a church that we wanted to take to the people. Most churches' designs, program, are come to us mentality, meaning they have a building somewhere and they have programs somewhere and they invite the public to come and join them in what they're doing. The reason we're meeting in a school is because we really don't have any intention, unless we just have to someday, buy a building or rent a building or whatever. We want to be able to be mobile, which was really the first vision of this church, was to be mobile in the neighborhoods, doing things all throughout the neighborhoods and things like that. And so we wanted to take the gospel to the people in the neighborhoods, to the people that live right around this school. We chose this part of town to focus our energies on. And if you look around, most of you have driven here. Okay? We have some people that have walked. We have some people that live really close. There are a handful of you. But the majority of you do not live in this area. You live in other areas. I don't live in this area. I live over by Cibola. That's a different neighborhood than this neighborhood is. And so if we're not effectively, we have our onesies and twosies and few that we've reached right here in this part of town. But we're not being effective at doing what the initial vision of this church was to do, which is to reach people from this neighborhood. And so we're going to have to, what I think, is make some changes. Are we doing horrible? No, that's not what I'm saying. We are not doing horrible. Look around. We've got 100-some people. We've got these programs, Power Pack and Uniform Exchange, and we've got all kinds of things going on here. We have really cool stuff happening here. So I'm not in any way saying that we're doing a horrible job. We're feeding people on Sundays. There's lots of cool stuff. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, Daniel Conkler, who's here this morning, he's the PE coach here at Salida. The church was able to provide a bunch of, about a little over $1,000 worth of PE equipment that even I just gave him some more this morning. So that's a cool thing, right? So we're doing some really cool things in this part of town, but I feel like if our vision was to really reach the neighborhood, we're off a bit from it. We're still going in similar direction, but I feel like we can do some things to get ourselves back in line with where God originally intended us to be. I mean, we've baptized 15 people. To me, that's complete. Whatever we've done, that is absolutely, completely worth it. We have 15 more people who are now believers in Jesus. because of Ekklesia. Okay, and that is an awesome thing. Bernice was our last person baptized. We got Gigi, she's ready to get baptized. Like, huh? She's a half. Okay, so anyway, she's ready, but we haven't done it yet. So, like, we are seeing people saved. We're seeing people grow together and learn to trust each other and grow in their faith. And some of you are babies in your faith, and others of you are spiritual giants. I don't want to say old in your faith. You know what I mean? Like, we'll try to say that in a better way. Like, we have people that are coming together, and it's good, but I feel like what I want to do is take what we've learned here and take it mobile, like what we initially set out to do. And take these things that we've learned here, the experiences, the steps of faith that we've taken, how we've learned to trust each other when we're setting up and tearing down, and the comfort that you guys have here by living together and working together and serving together and ministering together. Take that now to the people who live around us and literally take it to them instead of just ask them to come and join us in what we're doing here. Because it's not really working. We started a breakfast ministry and we're feeding most of our people, right? We're not feeding the people that live around here. Some of them, of course, but we're not being as effective as I think we should be. If you remember in the very beginning of Ekklesia, I shared a few quotes with you, and they were not my own quotes. They were from Craig Groeschel, who's the pastor at Life Church. And they're the ones that produce the Bible app that most of you have. They give that away for free. He says a few things to his congregation regularly. He says this: we will do anything short of sin to reach people who don't know Christ. We will do anything short of sin, meaning we're gonna push whatever boundary, whatever barrier we can in order to reach people for Christ, as long as it's not sinning. Okay? And that's a powerful statement. What does that mean? That means we're going to do anything short of sin to reach people with the gospel. I shared that with you for the first few months of this church. And then in order to reach those people, to reach people that no one is reaching, we're going to have to do things that no one is doing. Does that make sense? Like if nobody's reaching a certain people group or a certain neighborhood, then that means we got to switch up what we're doing in order to reach them. I hope that makes sense to you all. And so that's where I'm coming from this morning. The reality is that although we do some things different than other churches, Ekklesia is pretty much similar to Oasis Church, which is a half mile that way, similar to Valley Baptist Church, which is a stone's throw away, similar to, what's it called, Betania Church, which is right there. You can throw a football to that one. Like, we are right here, very close to a bunch of churches. And yeah, we do some things different, for sure. Okay? But by and large, in the most part, we have a come and seek operation here. We do things here, and we ask people to come to us. What I'm suggesting we do at Ekklesia is get back to the old, maybe you want to call it new for those of you that are newer, old vision of Ekklesia, which is to take the church to the people, to reach people that will never walk through the doors of a church. And how do we do that? We're going to have to do that through creativity. We're going to have to do that with doing anything short of the gospel to reach people. We're not sure what all that looks like yet. Okay? We're not sure what it all is going to look like, smell like, taste like. We don't know all of that for sure. But I can tell you this. We're going to have to step up in our BHAGs. Do you remember what BHAGs are? Some of you are like giving me these weird eyes. That is a really weird graphic, right? What is a BHAG? Big, hairy, audacious goal. Why do you know that? Because that is something that I continue to just bring us back to. What are your BHAGs? What are those big, hairy, scary, crazy things that God is calling you to do? Okay? What are those things for you? Now, I want to suggest that Ekklesia, according to church council, has a BHAG, a huge BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal of doing 2 off-site ministry events per month. Okay? Now, I already know some of you, the first question is, oh, again? Like I got to serve more. I'm here in the morning at 8 a.m. and now you're calling me to do even more? Like I already know your brains, because church council had the exact same response to let's start doing more stuff. They're like, hold on, whoa. How can we ask our people to do more when they're already doing so much? Pretty much every one of you serves in some capacity here, and that's abnormal at a church. Honestly, that's pretty abnormal. I love your serving spirit here. And so I'm honestly not going to ask you to serve more. I'm just going to ask you to serve in a different location. Okay? Exactly. She said, what you talking about, Willis? Like, I'm going to ask you to serve in a different location. And what I mean by that is our plan, our agenda, the vision that we want to pursue here at Ekklesia in order to do mobile ministry and not burn everyone out is that on the 1st, 3rd, and if there's a 5th Sunday, we will do things just like we've done them today. We will worship together, we will set up and tear down and program as most of you are used to. But then on the 2nd and 4th Sundays of a month, we will do church in a different location. And it's not going to look like what it looks like this morning. Okay? You're going to have to get ready to be uncomfortable. Because what church looks like to you is going to be drastically changed. If we're going to reach people that will never walk through those doors, we have to take the gospel to them somehow. And so our plan at Ekklesia is to twice a month take church to the people instead of ask them to come to us. Now, what does that look like? We are still unsure. Okay? We are still unsure as to what all of that will look like. For some of you, taking the church to the people is going to look like a party or a barbecue or a backyard Bible club or maybe setting up a little worship service. Like we're still unsure. We're working through the process of what this will look like. But we are clear and we are sure that God is calling us to move in this old direction. Because this is how we started. We started doing these things in the neighborhoods and doing these different things and having parties and big things across the street and over at the trailer park and all that. And I will take full responsibility for it that over the past few years, we've gotten just to kind of just do church here. And we've not really done anything in the community, in the neighborhood. Yeah, we have some programs, but we've not done what we first set out to do, which was to take the church to people. Now, I understand, okay, that when we mobilize, when I say mobilize, some of you are like, oh, yes! What he's saying I can watch football every other week instead of come to church, right? I don't have to come to church 2 times a month. I know it. Like I can already read your brains. I am absolutely not telling you, hear me, not telling you that we're only doing church twice a month. What I'm saying is, on the 2nd and 4th Sundays of a month, we're asking you to come to church at a different place. Okay? It's a pretty simple thing. You're serving, you probably, instead of cooking pancakes here, you'll be cooking pancakes under some tree at Bernice's house or something like that. Or maybe you'll be cooking lunch because it'll be closer to lunch. Maybe you'll be playing with kids, or maybe you'll be talking to people, or maybe you'll be watching a soccer game and inviting the other team over. Like, we're not sure exactly what it's all going to look like yet. We're still working through that. And I already know some of you are like, oh, no, he did not, right? Like, I know news like this for some of you, you're already like, boo, right? Like, I get it. I understand. if you are right now, as I say some of these things, booing in your brain, will you come and talk to me? Not right this second, okay? But after service or something like that, we can meet for coffee. We can talk about, yes, because I drink coffee now. We can talk about what this, like I can't necessarily tell you exactly what it looks like because church council is still figuring out what it's going to look like, at least in, beginning in January when we kick this off. So I can't tell you what it's exactly going to look like, but I can tell you the heart and the reasoning, the scriptural basis for all of this stuff. So I'm more than willing to meet with you to talk about some of those things. We still need every single one of you to participate in these offsite events. We're going to name them something better than offsite event. I don't know what we're going to name them, but it can't be offsite event because that's just lame. But gypsy worship. Okay, there's one. So yeah, it's mobile, right? Gypsies wandering around. So I don't know, maybe it's certainly in the running. It's the first one, so it's leading since it's the first one. But as we think about what's going to happen, I know that there are going to be some questions that you already have, like in your brain. Oh, really? Like what time and where are we going to do? In the beginning, we're going to meet here every Sunday at 10, because if you show up on the second Sunday of the month at 10 a.m. ready to sing some songs and eat some pancakes, we're going to meet here and say, hey, today, sorry, we're not eating pancakes. We're actually going over to X, Y, or Z, and we're going to do this. So that way you're still able to participate with us. Those times may change eventually and stuff like that. But we're just not sure exactly what it's all going to look like. But in the beginning, it will all begin at 10 a.m., just like worship does. But it cannot, listen to me, this plan will not work, cannot work, without your participation. Without your ministry involvement that you already serve here, we're asking you to just serve down the street. Okay? Ideally, it's not that big of a change, but I know some of you are creatures of habit. You sit in the same seat every week, or because we switch it up, you try to get in the same area every week. Like, we're creatures of habit, and so for some of you, this is distressing, I know. But we can talk about it after service, or this week sometime. Because we are making some major changes, we're going to pursue what we started a few weeks ago, that 3 circles of evangelism training. Next week, I'm going to do a Thanksgiving message, and then for the next 3 weeks after that, I'm going to preach through this 3 circles evangelism, and then in January, we're going to do, like we had mentioned, on maybe Thursday night or Friday night or whatever night works best for us, hour and a half of training once a week for 6 weeks to get you comfortable sharing the gospel with people. Because I know some of you are freaked out right now. When you heard me say we're going to be talking to people, you're like, whoa, I cook pancakes. That's all I do. Like, I don't talk to people, right? I don't talk to people. I get that, because I will tell you honestly, I am introverted too. I am naturally an introvert. I like to just group up with my good friends, and that's where I'm comfortable. And I know a lot of you are like that, but we still need you there. We're going to have jobs for you. Some of you will be cooking hot dogs, and some of you will be loading stuff, and some of you, we still need every single person there. Now, it's almost 11, and so I'm going to close, and I just feel, I don't know, I'm anxious, I guess, is the word. Excited for what God is going to do here at Ekklesia. And I know some of you are like, ooh, yeah, you are not excited about this news. Like, I would imagine that maybe some of you are like, whoa. The church council, though, by and large, is really excited about what this is going to look like. The church council for over a year now. Ooh, I just spit. That was nasty. Did I hit you? Did I hit you, Chris? That's the soak zone. Yeah. All right. I just saw, did anyone see it? I saw a stringer.
Help my hair grow.
I figure when I'm talking, when that happens, I just got to point it out, because people are already talking about it anyway. So anyway, if nobody saw it, then now I feel really dumb. But anyway, we have the church council. I would say probably about half of us on council have just had for the past year or so, this like angst, this thing going on in us individually, that we feel like we've gotten off track. And are we in a horrible place? No, we're not. Like I said, absolutely not. Look around you. We're reaching people. We're doing some really cool things. But we've gotten away from the original intention and vision of the church. And it has come out in conversations. It's come out in some, things that we've tried and failed. And it's like, why do we keep trying to invite people here to these events we keep holding here, when that was never what the church was intended for in the beginning? Our church was intended to go and take these great things that we have to the people. And so when we decided that we were going to get back to the original vision of this church, most of the council, because I have not talked to everyone completely, but most of the council is absolutely excited. Bringing on some new faces has been really cool. And so we are pumped for what God's going to do in the next few months. It's going to be a ride, okay? So if some of you are like, I'm getting off the ride, I would suggest that you hold on and see what this looks like. See what it turns into. Experience something new. Experience a church that's fully participating where God wants them to participate and doing what they are called to do. And what it's going to look like, we're unsure. And we may fail absolutely horribly, okay? But if we're going to fail, we want to fail knowing that we were doing what God was calling us to do as a church. And so we're excited for it. God has been working behind the scenes with some other stuff. It's been absolutely evident. And I don't have enough time to go into all those things, but I can talk to you privately about it. So, like I said, I'm more than willing to come to your house and talk to you about this new vision, old vision, really. I keep saying new, it's really old. But for where we've been the last few years, it's going back to where we started. So get comfortable. What's the next phrase? Being uncomfortable. Okay? One of the first places we're going to work is Bernice's house. And she said, how many of you speak Spanish? Spanglish. Like, literally. We'll be hanging out with people that don't speak English at all. How are you going to deal with that? Right? Do your best. Have any of you ever been serving the Lord and trying to talk with someone that doesn't communicate well with you, and God just kind of does something there, and later on you're like, dang, that was awesome, right? Like, that's what I want every week. Like, for us to come back. What I foresee these first, third, and fifth Sundays being here at the church, at the school here, is celebrations of what happened the previous week. Saying, God, you are so good. You are so awesome for bringing that person and seeing them saved and establishing relationships and things like that. So I'm excited for it. I'm absolutely excited about what God's going to do, and I pray that you are as well. And if you're not, let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. So I'm grateful for you joining us on this journey. Absolutely grateful. One of the things that I talked to the council about was, I so enjoy being around you, being your pastor, and seeing you walk and grow in your spiritual life. I so enjoy it. And it has been really fun to just kind of hunker down and work together and help each other and really focus on each other. But now is a time for us to take what we've learned here, to take what God's been doing here, and now take it to the streets, take it to the neighborhood right around us. So let's pray.